Hello, good evening, and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday evening. We've just had a very busy weekend with the first round of the Time Nutrition Juvenile Derby at Shelbourne Park, the Bar 1 Irish Spring Cup at Dundalk, and the Callaway Pro-Am at Stud St. Ledger at Limerick. It was so busy, in fact, Ian Fortune took a dive today, so he can't be here, but hopefully he is back in action by the weekend. I have no doubt he will. But he did leave me with Tommy Lyons. Tommy, good evening to you. How was your weekend?
It was good, busy driving up and down the road and doing the likes. So did my from my point of view, well, not me personally, but from the kids and from my wife, the result didn't go our way yesterday in the All Ireland, but it was entertaining day nonetheless. It's funny.
It was.
It's funny actually, Barry, just to say that like I was talking before this, just chatting and about the All Ireland final, and Joe reminded me of a little bit the English Derby final, where we had a great run up to the final, and then things just didn't go to form in the final. And not to say the Tipperary didn't deserve it, but it felt like a dog that had put all his big performances in up to the semi final, and then when he came to a final, just flat as a pancake. And that's just what the All Ireland final felt like yesterday. I wasn't at it myself; the rest of my gang were. I was watching from home, but Tipperary were exceptional, and of course, Liam Cahill, manager of Tipperary, is a supporter and a big interest in greyhound racing, so it's great for him.
Yeah, well done to Liam Cahill. He is a big supporter of greyhound racing. I think if you were to, if you were training Cork, you'd definitely take a look at stepping them back down and trip. I mean, the four bends just didn't seem to suit them. They were a mile clear of halfway, but they, they just
I
they
think, I
just
think,
didn't
I
stay.
think, yeah, I think a couple of maybe for retirement, find them a new home, maybe.
Okay, well, look, the dogs who were nowhere near retirement were in action at Shelbourne Park on Friday evening. It was the first round of the Time Greyhound Nutrition Juvenile Derby. We've seen some electric performances on the night. It looked like a standout competition before it even began. And look, after the first round, we were left with even more breathtaking performances and so much to look forward to this Friday evening. Let's start with heat number one, Tommy Ballymac Mint. Not always the greatest trapper in the world, but she got it right last week. She didn't fly out again this week, but once her paws hit the ground, she's got electric early pace. She was a seven-let winner, bit of trouble in behind. I thought unanimous Leo ran quite well. And a dog who I was keen on at the start of this competition was Sunshine Sue. I always struggle to pronounce that in commentary. Sunshine Sue for all McKenna, Droopy, Sydney, Susie Sapphire. I thought he ran with a lot of credit back in third place. But it's all about Ballymac Mint. That's two wide margin successes now, back to back.
Yeah, and not a lot more to be said about it in one way, because it's kind of it's good to watch that type of performance. Yeah, there was a little bit of trouble behind it. I don't think it made any difference to the result itself, but I would agree. I did I did think that those in behind ran a bit better than the margins they were beaten. Like they were beaten a long way, 7 lengths in the head and the like. But look, I think you just get the impression maybe that Liam Dowling's dogs are in really, really good form, and they're starting to really come to themselves. I know we've seen good performances over the last number of months from dogs, but I think now they're ready to all hit the ground and start doing big performances. It's the right time of year, the juvenile derby leading into the derby and whatever else. But Ballymac Mint is impressive. Like you said, it's about those yards into the bend rather than the yards out of the traps, and that's what's key to Ballymac Mint, and that can get you in a little bit of trouble at times. But at the moment, it's working a treat.
Yeah, wide seat does seem to suit her. She should be able to stay out of trouble and get a clear run into the bend. Sorry, there was a bit of trouble in our second heat. Alan Ela Bolt and Barrington Lad both crowded out of the first bend, and it was left more or less a three dog affair heading down the back straight. We've seen Carrick Scosey win the Summer Cup around there. I think he won €10,000 when he won that. He finished second to Made to Measure for Pat Norris, an incredibly well bred son of Droopy Sydney and Sing Along Sally. Always promised an awful lot, Tommy, and got it right there tonight. Once he led around the first bend, I know there was trouble in behind, but an impressive performance nonetheless.
Yeah, and good to see that, get that win on the card. I think that's kind of important too. I know we can't say for certain whether animals have confidence. You hear them talking about be confidence boost and winning for a horse or a dog or whatever, but it will be to get around and get a clear one and get a good size with the hair. So, I think it's probably one that made to measure can build on. I think it can improve a good bit now.
Yeah, I spoke to Pat Norris after the race, and he sort of gave me that impression. Let's hear Pat's thoughts now. So I'm joined by Pat Norris after Made to Measure makes all to win round one, heat two of the Time Greyhound Juvenile Derby. Pat, you must be thrilled with that. Some way to open his account.
Yeah, I suppose look, he's the fourth one, probably at the trotter inside really, and especially space, but he came out well tonight, and look, he's capable of, the breathing's there, like, but just needed time to mature and race and help. So look, qualified there as next round. So
I must say, he's a fine looking dog, and you obviously thought a lot of him to put him into that Hot One race stake as a juvenile.
Yeah, look, he we thought a bit out of him, and look, he just needed racing a bit of time, and like hopes you just don't on, and look, keep going off it.
He's going the right way. Listen, Pat, well done. Thanks for your time.
So those were the thoughts of delighted Pat Norris, made to measure, only going to improve. He's only going to go up and up. It was a good performance, and as I said, he's from an incredible litter. Droopy Sydney out of Sing Along Sally. On to heat number 3, and this was won by Glengar Silent. I interviewed Pat Buckley before racing, and he sort of gave me the impression he really liked this dog. He did mention Robert's dog, obviously Droopy's painting. Robert Gleason's dog is a very, very fast dog in Trap 2. But Pat sort of gave me the little nod and a wink in the interview. He said he wouldn't be too afraid of him if he got a clear run after him. And that's exactly what happened. He did get a clear run after Droopy's painting and got there on the line. Get up, my boy, finished third. A couple of things from my perspective in this race. Great to see Droopy's painting back. He took an awful fall the last time. I spoke to Robert before race, and Robert said, look, physically he's 100%, but mentally you just don't know if that will leave a scar. And it didn't seem to. He seemed to run a cracker on his return to Shelbourne Park. And when Glengar Silent went past him off the last bend, he looked as though he was going to maybe blow him away and go on by 3 or 4 lengths. But Droopy's painting, in fairness to him, he rallied back up the home straight and was only beaten a length. I think there's big things to come from these two, Tommy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I was looking at the prices after. I think Droopy's painting is still in the joint favour, so one of the firms anyway. I think maybe with Boyles it might be 8-1 joint favour for this competition. You know, it's kind of what you want in a greyhound, especially over 5.25, is the ability to come out of traps, and Droopy's painting can come out of the traps. I'm sure the 210 section can be improved upon, but still came out flying. Actually, just looking back for 203 in first 2 runs. It can definitely be improved upon, despite the fact that it looked like a very fast break the other night. Glengar Silent stepped right out of traps, then moved in, gone to the bend, tiny little bit of a bump with 3, and but got into second place. Showed lovely pace, showed tracking ability as well down to third and fourth bends, where it's probably at its most difficult point at which you can overtake a greyhound, because you're losing momentum at a vital point of the race. It's a really good performance to win that in 28.44 by a length. I would say, if they met next week, it would be just as tight. And if they met the following week, Droopy's painting might be ready to hold on, if you know what I mean. But they're both going to improve a ton. I think it came away with that heat, thinking the two of those can be real players in the finish of this. But obviously, early pace is what you want, and just that Droopy's painting has that bit more.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Two nice dogs. Is a back-to-back double for the litter, Droopy Sydney and Sing Along Sally. And Get Up My Boy finished back in third place, ran quite well as well. Now on to race number 4. This was certainly one for the bookmakers. At one stage in there on Friday, they were going 2-1 each of 3. Sword Style, Borges Mystery and Happy Jet. All 3 had their supporters. But for their supporters, unfortunately, they finished 3rd, 4th and 5th. And it was the improving Zenith Mythmaker for Corona Ryan, who looked very, very impressive to the eye. 28.37, won by 3 lengths, never really looked in any danger. And he's an improving young dog, this fella, Tommy.
Improving young dog, and has a nice bit of experience as well. You know, that can always help. I mean, the runner up was on debut. You know, it's a fair effort. But Zenith McMaker was in charge pretty much early. I think the kind of experience showed. But like you said, that doesn't mean the fact that it has a nice few runs in relative to a lot in the competition. It actually just looks like it might be an improver. I mean, the previous run was a good effort too. So I just think that's a nice effort. But the runner-up come away with a lot of credit too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you say, on debut to run so well on debut, and he's got a nice bit of early pace about him as well. So I'm sure he will only improve. And back in third, we have Happy Jet, again another dog with an incredible pedigree. Run happy out of bobsleigh Jet. 28.37 the winning time for heat number 4. Now on to heat number 5 and Ballymac Tibet. A bit of a powerhouse, this fella. We recently seen him come from off the pace to win the champion place a couple of weeks ago. And once he led here on Friday night, it was never, ever going to be any catching him. He went off your 13-8 favourite, just ahead of Toolmaker King for Rob Gleason and Droopy's Faithful, who made a winning debut in there a couple of weeks ago for young Daniel O'Reilly. It was a strong contest, Tommy. But look, once you've seen Ballymac Tibet turn in front around the first bend, it was sort of game over, wasn't it?
This is a fabulous race. these are three top drawer greyhounds. If I had a criticism, I'd say at times with particularly with the horse racing, there's a couple of commentators who are tend to want to call the result before it's over. Ian tends not to make mistakes when he does that, but he was calling Ballymac to bet a winner out of traps because the sound of shock in his voice when Ballymac to bet led was obvious in the commentary, and he knew that it was all over. The second and third, like considering how strong the winner is, ran absolutely remarkable races. I mean, we saw Druggy's Faithful a couple of weeks ago. I happened to be in Shelbourne that night, and I was talking to Daniel, and he was saying to me that, think a lot of her, but like, she's obviously inexperienced and whatever, and wanted to get a run into her. She was pitched straight into open company, first time up, and happened to win that night. And kind of going, wow, how does a dog, our bitch of October bitch first time up go and win first time up? She actually ran remarkably well the other night, and Two Maker King missed the kick, got a bit of bump, and showed lovely pace to get into a position to have a reasonable run after that. A reasonable run, I mean, in terms of being clear or not. Nobody's going to pick up Ballymac to bet, and the time was there 28-12. But come away from that thinking, if the three of those meet later in the competition, I have no idea which one will win, because I think they're all going to develop quite a bit. Ballymac to bet has a nice bit of experience, but they're going to develop quite a lot. The Two Maker King and Drugby's Faithful.
Yeah, I thought Two Maker King came out of that race with a lot of credit. I think if he gets an inside draw, he could be very, very hard to hold. But as I say, look, once Ballymac to bet led around the first bend, it was all over, and I put that to Shane Dowling, and here were his thoughts after the race.
So Shane Dowling and Ballymac to bet win Heat 5. Shane, as a contest, that was all over the first bend. He's very, very strong.
He's a very strong runner, Barry. I didn't expect him to be in front of the bend, but when he got there, the writing was on the wall. Delighted for the lads that own him, a great syndicate there locally, and he's after winning the champion plate already. They're getting a great spin out of him. Once he gets in front, he'll always do a big clock,
Yeah, I didn't expect him to lead myself, but once I seen him going around in front, he was never going to be caught, was he?
No, he's a really strong dog. Bright future, and excited, and hopefully qualifies again next week and keeps the show on the road.
Give us a quick word about Ballymac Mint. She was very good in the first.
She was very good, not the best trapper, but she's very, very good early when she puts the feet under her. And again, look, she qualified. That's the name of the game. So delighted with her as well.
Well done, Shane. Thanks for your time.
Thanks,
all the best.
Barry. Cheers.
So that's the thoughts of Shane Dowling, and he was as surprised as any of us to see Ballymac to bet lead around in front. But sure, if he does that, he's going to be very, very hard to hold. On to race number 6, it was Heat 6, and Rural Pest just got the better of the early paced Slingshot Poppy up the home straight. Ballymac Lake was back in third place. Slingshot Poppy, just in the piece I did with Pat Buckley, he had told me that she was never around the track before, so she will obviously step forward from that run. But Rural Pest, Tommy, had to come from off the pace, stayed on strongly up the home straight, and a nice performance in a decent run.
It really was. I'd say he's a very fast dog. It's a funny one because he went so wide down to the third bend. Hadn't intended it. If you see coming off the second bend, he was kind of inside a little bit, and then came wide off that and extremely wide off the last bend. You're always going to give away a bit of ground doing that, but he's obviously very, very fast because Slingshot Poppy didn't do an awful lot wrong. Showed lovely early pace and did a 28:40. I mean, most nights to Shelbourne Park, you'd probably win if you're doing that, particularly against Puppy Company, but I say Rural Pest is, and I think the way like Ballymac Lake is a very smart sort too. I think the way the Rural Pest went down the back relative to them, I thought that was a big run.
Yeah, I just think it's worth noting as well. I want to point this out to people who weren't there on Saturday night. You can see here Upper Horgan and colours are green. They're coming slack early pace and very slow away. For the majority of the heats there on Thursday night, there was look, they are juvenile dogs, puppies, most of them. There was a lot of mess in the traps, and dogs were going for breaks, and that would encourage the rest of them to go for the break as well. And a lot of dogs missed the break on Friday night because of that. Look, they're puppies, they're learning their trade, and colours are green, and Upper Horgan definitely fall into that bracket. And they did miss the kick, not really their own fault, just a bit of greenness.
Well, Colours of Green got like, I mean, an absolute nightmare run everywhere. Two dog came out and moved a little bit right there, and then but because it got held up, he gave the four dog a chance to come across. Then he went for a daring run up along the inside, and another dog came across and squeezed him up. I mean, it was just one of those you just go, well, probably not a great experience, but just forget about it.
Yeah, it was. On to race number 7. Unfortunately, just a 3-dog race here. Sure connections of the 3 that made it through. We're happy enough to see 3 out. But look, a 3-dog race, it ended up being the race of the night, in fairness. A short head and a neck separated the trio as they passed the line. Montana Shadow He ran very well around Kilkenny when first in at the start of his career. I think he was a big money purchase to join Ian Riley. He went to traps 2-7 here on Saturday night, and his supporters certainly had their hearts in their mouths for a long, long way. It was Lamrock Ace who set the pace. He moved off the second bend and let Montana Shadow up his inside, and it looked like the race was sort of over at that stage. But in fairness to Lamrock Ace, he battled back all the way down the back straight, and just off the last bend, Montana Shadow sort of kept them a little bit wide, and Zenith Gizmo was given a chance up the inside. I was on the line. I was sure 6 had got there, but everybody you spoke to said, no, one, and I started to doubt myself. But it was Montana Shadow who just prevailed by a short head in the neck in 28.65. A thrilling race to look at, Tommy.
I think Ian might have called Zenith Gizmo that he thought probably had won those. It was that tight. Interesting race to run at. I do think if Montana Shadow had made a move down the outside rather than through the middle, it probably would have won comfortably. Just seemed to be bit of bumping, and just it wanted to run its line. Montana Shadow did. There's nothing going to worry about it. Just wanted to run its line, and for that reason, it seemed to kind of edge out a lot on top of the other dog, and I think that probably cost both of them, but it cost Montana Shadow probably slightly more. So I think he's obviously better than 28.65. He's a lot better than that. So if you're back to 2-7, you had the double bonus. You lost a few pounds in weight and you gained a few pounds in your pocket. So it was a definite sweat.
Yeah, you'll have to buy a new pair of underpants as well. Swiftly moving on to race number 8. This was a 4-dog heat again. We lost a couple through injuries, and I believe Paddy Coss had 3 in it. I think his van broke down on the way up, so that's why we'd lost a few. This race wasn't without incident, Tommy, but let's talk about the winner first of all, Patterdale Timmy for Sally Mounsey. Like, this is a really improving young dog, this fella. Sort of caught me by surprise here in this race. It was a very, very hot contest. Troopy's Heiress was good form across in the UK. Magical Keith was very, very good on debut and did a little wrong on the feet last time in a hot contest. And of course, Ballymac stud. He unbeaten 3 from 3, winner of the valuable Celtic Cooling, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Open 525. I think that's the right title. He was expected to run well. But look, it was Patterdale Timmy who made all, showed fine early pace. He was challenged up the home straight by Droopy's Heiress, went to the judge, but just held on by a head, Tommy.
Yeah, good performance. I mean, there was a good battle with Ballymac stud early on to try to get the lead, and it was never going to allow Ballymac stud, to get across. It just said improving, and actually got quite impeded to a degree, maybe 3/4 of a length, that sort of much around the first bend, where I think it moved off slightly maybe and seemed to lose its hind legs ever so slightly. Might have cost a little bit more than that. So I think it's an improver. It's even better than 28.34, which is a hell of a run anyway. On Ballymac stud, frustrate the life out of you that he clearly, and well, this is only his 4th ever run, so maybe things have changed, but like, he was fine going to the bend, but he so badly wanted the rails on the bend, and the same down to third bend again. So badly wanted to cut in at the third bend, and so badly wanted to cut in at the first bend. That's where your concern is. He's got lovely early pace. He's better than he showed the other night in the early pace department. He's a better ground than he was able to show the other night. But I didn't realise quite how much he kind of really wants the rails. If you watch again, Barry, you'll see at the first bend and the third bend, he really is moving in. And there's a dog inside him in both instances, which is not the cleverest thing in the world to do, because it's fine if it's clear air there, he can get inside and run his line. But a little bit frustrating on that point of view. But he's well beaten in the end, and it is disappointing. But I wouldn't be ruling him out now, and I wouldn't. I think he's still towards the top of the betting for this, which I find hard to believe. I'd be after that, you'd be saying there'd be something to improve by him or something to make it hard for him. But it just came away from that thinking he's going to need trap 1 a lot.
Yeah, I think it could be maybe the first time in his life he's actually been in behind dogs, and you can see it sometimes.
Yeah, maybe
in behind. They do try to edge to the rails and try and get up the inside of runners ahead of them, and like I've seen it myself with sort of raw puppies, and sometimes they can even hit the rails that bad. Once dogs are ahead of them, they're sort of running different lines. So look, go on.
Yeah, he's going to mature. He's going to mature. There's no doubt about that. And maybe he'll run a perfectly straight line when he does, and particularly if he knows something is inside him. But like, you can think in this competition, there are dogs that are going to do 2 seconds the same as he can do. There are other grounds in it. So it'll just be interesting to see. Maybe actually it'll just be great for his development, to be honest. competition.
I think Magical Keith and Ballymac Stud are two nice dogs, very nice dogs going forward, and they did each other no favors all the way around there. I have to say the other night, but Droopy's heiress unfortunately was disqualified from this contest, and it was Ballymac Stud who will progress. So Ballymac Stud, Magical Keith, and Patterdale Timmy progress into round 2, which will take place at Shelbourne Park this Friday night. Just to wrap up the card on Friday, Hazel Hill Marty won a decent final in there for Suzanne Collins. Good to see Suzanne get a winner in there. He made all in 28.65. And my own Black Bridges took the last race in 28.87, beating Infield Force. That wraps up Shelbourne. Saturday night at Shelbourne, pretty low-key affair. I suppose Lemon Joey, who ran so well down in the International at Dundalk, he was probably the highlight of the show. He looked to be dropped a little bit in grade, and he duly made no mistake for Mort Leahy. Now, the action wasn't just limited to Shelbourne Park. We had some cracking racing down at Limerick on Saturday night, Tommy. The first round of the Callaway Pro-Am at stud Irish St. Ledger even. Callaway Pro-Am, I think he's made a bright enough start to his stud career, and hopefully he continues that upward trajectory. So first heat was won by the ever-consistent Hello Diego, Tommy. He was tried over 6 bends. He stretched his stamina a little bit, but once you put him over 4 bends, he's going to be very, very hard to keep out of the frame. He has that sort of wide running line that he keeps forever. And if he stays out there, he's going to be hard to knock out of the places, and he should progress a long way. He beat in good time and Drumbeg Jet.
Yeah, he comes out excited anyway on Saturday night with his late rush. He kind of thought that maybe for a second it looked like he'd be staying in second place, and then just took off. It's a good run because In Good Time is an extremely fast dog. Did In Good Time do a track record one time? I think he did, if I remember off the top
down
of my head.
in Clonmel, I think, was it?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It might have been Tralee or something. I'm not sure, but could be anywhere. my head, it could be anywhere. But like it's In Good Time is a vast experience. I think he's won 17. He's been runner up 20 times. I mean, he's most of these are at the very, very top level. So he's been a model of consistency for Brendan Mansell. But hello Diego just pipped him. Took its time. It's funny too, isn't it? Like he tried the 6 bends, but Hello Diego, it just didn't work. It was a bit too far. And yet he's like a rocket coming home here. And you go, yeah, surely he wants that. It's just the 750 is just that bit too far.
Yeah, he was never winning this race for 520 yards, was it? It was just exactly 5 yards that he was getting there. But look, I think he'll be hard to keep out of the frame. He won in 29.91, beaten In Good Time and Drumbeg Jet. On to the second heat. This was quite a strong looking heat. On paper, a 1-2 for Graham Holland, I believe, with Ballyhimmock and Ben Bartlemy Mainu. Pat Buckley's Cornacova was back in third. She's a very, very good bitch indeed. Ballyhimmock and Ben, we've seen him run well up in Shelbourne Park over 5.75. A little bit messy around the opening bends, I suppose, this race, but I think the big 3 really came through. I know Bartlemy Mainu was 10-1, but he's got some good form. We lost Snazzy Boss, but Ballyhimmock and Ben, Tommy, he's a nice sort, isn't he?
He is, and I tell you what, he was so brave. I mean, I'm not sure how he came out of the second bend only a neck or half a length down, because he kind of missed a kick. It seemed like the gaps closed, early, which often is the case. But he just said, "Well, I'm going through here regardless," and just drove through the bend and made his own look. So, it's a better performance even than the clock would suggest. Like, I mean, it is a good performance anyway. But you'd be quite impressed. Obviously, he's going to have to improve a bit. But like, I've been impressed with that effort now. He loved his attitude.
Yeah, I looked at the time when I seen 30.04. It did look a messy contest. I wouldn't have been surprised to see 30.30 or something like that. So I'm sure all those 3 can improve, especially Cornacova. She's one to keep on the right side of a greyhound with huge potential. When he's on his day, is Dale Rowe Duke. I think he's a former Champion Stakes winner, Tommy, if I'm right, for Pat Guilfoyle. Look, he was back to his best again there on Saturday night when making all 29.74. Absolutely nothing wrong with the performance. He never looked in any doubt. Cruised home 5 lengths clear of Tinnahope upon and Too Late Tomorrow. Dale Rowe Duke, it's hard to say he's frustrating because he has all the ability in the world, but he just seems to throw in that one sort of bad run, which prevents him from being a real competition dog. I know he won the Champion Stakes, but look, he started off this with a bang, but he needs a little bit more consistency in this game for how good he is.
Look, Champion Stakes is a 2-run competition. Like, it's a lot different. I often find, and I think people underestimate this, is the difficulty it takes in winning a 5 or 6 run competition, and that's where you do find that it does frustrate you when you get a dog that's really, really fast, and that you can find that, hey, they do just, for some reason, if they're running every week, they'll just drop a level for a week and end up getting knocked out of the competition. But he's a really fast dog. I came away from thinking of, because what was I bowled over by in the Ledger? I'm not really sure. So it's hard not to think and you kind of get yourself caught in this again. It's hard not to think when you see a dog like him run, making a performance like that. I looked at that performance the other night, 29.74, thinking there's a little bit more in him. There's more in him, if you know what I mean. I didn't think it was fully polished. I think he's able to go to the bend even quicker than he went the other night. He's able to dominate a bit, more than that. He was actually led out of traps by the six dog, Knockout Hero. Yeah, like that's I would like that. I want to come away from the first round of any long competition thinking that, you know what, there's more to come. He's better than that, and that's what I did with Dale Duke. So I think look. I don't know if that'll back him, but I feel like I'm falling for it again, thinking he could win this competition. Maybe I'm just falling for it again.
If you were to rock up in the final, you could just never oppose him because he has that ability in spades.
Yeah.
He beat Tina Hopapom, decent hound, and too late tomorrow back in third. On to race number 6, Fate Point Harvey, an English Derby finalist. Am I right in saying that? He was, wasn't he?
Was it Harvey? I don't know why I have a problem with mixing these up. I feel I have a head like I say. We should know that.
Well,
Uh,
we'll get it to delete it out if he's not. Apologies if he's not. But look, this was a really strong heat. You look, we'd two really fast bitches in here, Lemon Orla, Sing Along Molly. Even it shows you how hot a contest was when you see the likes of Flight Club and Ventry Fate put in there at 8-1. Two really high class greyhounds. But look, it was Fate Point Harvey who got the better of Ventry Fate. Ventry Fate very good on his day. Flight Club back in third place, and as I say, we lost Lemon Orla and Sing Along Molly, two incredibly fast bitches. But probably one of the strongest heats of the night. This.
Yeah, I thought Fate Point Harvey had a chance the previous week in Shelbourne Park, or 2 weeks ago in 7.
Yeah, he got to the final of the Champion Stakes, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it had a chance that night. I was disappointed with it, but I was more disappointed with myself. I kind of had in my head put it down as just its form wasn't up there with that level. I just thought maybe the makeup of the race, and I lent too much into the makeup of the race that night, and was disappointed with myself, not with the dog. But I think, yeah, look, it's a decent performance. It's in when Ventry Faith is around a while and is a very smart dog and all that sort of stuff. But I thought it was a fine performance by Fate Point Harvey. I think he's going to have to step up to win a Ledger.
Yeah, you could be right, yeah. But look, he has the ability there in spades. On to race number 7. It is heat number 5. Blast Off Cooper. He was the second fastest of the night. Fast away and made all. Just beat the ever consistent KG Billy. I must say, KG Billy's an incredibly consistent dog for Christopher Delaney. He seems to rock up everywhere. I think he got to the final of the Tipperary Cup. He's down here for the Ledger. He's won a heap of races around Shelbourne Park over 4 and 6 bends. Very good dog indeed. It must be a pleasure to own. And Bocco Sapphire, Droopy Sydney, Ellis Susie Sapphire, back from a stint in the UK, finished back in third place. But Blast Off Cooper, hard to not be impressed by him, Tommy, in a decent run as well.
Yeah, not a lot to say about it apart from the fact that he showed a good attitude to get to the bend. KG Billy is tremendously consistent and really put it up to him. Magical Sapphire ran a cracking race in defeat. I thought the top dog, the Moorestown dog, Moorestown Brett, was showing lovely pace into the bend and just having missed the kick. Does what often happens when you miss the kick and show a big pace into the bend, just got crowded a bit and maybe forced to check wide and lost all momentum and all chance at that stage. Was going to run a good race, I'm sure of that. But Blast Off Cooper did it professional. That's what I would say, a very professional performance.
Yeah, and just to note, Fate Point Harvey was a quarter finalist. We apologise in case we got anybody excited looking for their anti-post tickets. On to race number 8, a dog that's always showed lots and lots of promise for Rob Gleeson was Toolmaker Giuseppe. Very strong sort indeed. He got the better of Magical Sapphire and Droopy's Deploy. This was another good contest as well. The likes of Hotwood and Kilcolgan Mick and Fairy Footsteps are all very good on the day. But it was 2-1 joint favourite Toolmaker Giuseppe, a dog who's always promised a lot, Tommy, and he got the racing room to run there on Saturday night. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, I said Magical Sapphire ran well in defeat the last. In the previous heat, it was Bocco Sapphire. This time it wasn't Magical Sapphire who ran very well in defeat. There was a bit of trouble here. And Toolmaker Giuseppe got a run. And that's all you need with that dog. But like, how often are you going to get it? How often are you going to get it when there's a lack of early pace? Or, I watched this heat a few times because I was thinking, how did he get into such a good position at the bend? I mean, he's outside the one dog going into the bend. You're thinking, oh no, this isn't going to work out well. And all of a sudden, he's in on the rail, slipping through into second place behind Magical Sapphire. So He got a bit of a dream run, but obviously the bit you're going to be impressed with, and you have to be impressed with, is from the last bend home. He's absolutely mouldering. I mean, he's definitely in that category that, like, right out of the top drawer in ability, in raw ability. It's just you need to get that little bit of luck. He needs to position himself a little bit better. He starts getting tricky draws 3 and 4, and you're looking for a lot of luck. But Druby Deploy ran a hell of a race in third place as well.
Yeah.
I did like that effort too. Like, Two Makers Giuseppe won impressively and did a good time and all that. Could he win a Ledger? Of course he could, but, like, your heart would be in your mouth probably most weeks just watching to see where he is. I can't see him going through the competition unbeaten. So he'd probably go and prove me wrong now, but get him to a final. He's got every chance.
Yeah, it's a good point you make. It's hard to see him unbeaten with his running style, but it's also hard to see him out of the first three, and very, very strong.
Yeah. That's like there are many dogs like that, Barry, where we look at them and we kind of go, look, you kind of just close your eyes for a couple of weeks now and open them again on final night and hope that he's in the lineup, because that's and then you've got every chance, because he is that good. He's definitely in he's definitely in the elite in terms of overall ability.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If and I know it's not, but if they were all solos, he'd be going about the quickest, wouldn't he? But good result there for Rob Gleeson, a 1-3 there for Rob. On to race number 9, which was Heat 7, and I must say, it was a very, very busy weekend in Greyhound Circles. I was busy enough myself. Didn't really study the ledger in depth until Sunday morning when I had a look at the results, and I went, Clonbrine Treaty back in second place. The legend that is Clonbrine Treaty. I couldn't believe it. He was supposed to go off and take up stud duties, but I don't know what happened. Maybe Graham Holland just had a look at this dog and said he's just bouncing. Let's give him one more spin. They gave him a sprint. Yeah, he flew in the sprint and he ran an absolute cracker there again on Saturday night. Led for much of the journey and was just caught close home by Blast Off Heffo. And look, we know Clonbrine Treaty over the years. He always seems to do this in the big competitions. He takes 1 and 2 and 3 runs to get going, and then he peaks in the semi-final and the final. Already, it's an incredible training performance by Graham Holland and the team down there, Riverside Kennels, to get him back in this form, like leading most of the way, doing 29.98 off a long break. We'll talk about him in a second, Tommy. Last off, Heffo was the winner, 29.78, good run, put in plenty of strong work from the third bend, and Hurlo Rocco was back in third place. Untold Dollar, we lost him back in fourth. But Blast Off Heffo was a good winner in the end, Tommy.
Yeah, and like, not a dog I knew an awful lot about, and a lot of experience around Limerick track, and tends to has won from off the pace, can show a little bit of early pace, but it's a really good performance, because I was going to say, and it's only really an echo of what you were before you said it. I was going to thinking, like, Clonbrine Treaty did Clonbrine Treaty things, didn't he? he showed all that brilliant early pace because it's the start of the competition. We're all thinking, he'd probably be picked up. And he was picked up, and then we were saying he'd be picked up next week, and he'd be picked up the week after, but he'd keep qualifying, and then the final he won't be picked up. that's the way it works. What age is he now,
generally
though?
the way it works. I think he's 12 or something, is he?
I'll tell you what age he's same age as himself.
Yeah, he's in August 21. So look, he's not that old, relatively, is he? Like, he's heading for 4-year-old, but he just seems to have been around forever, and it's great to see him back. It really is great to see him back, and it just caught me by surprise going through the results to see him back in second place. So hopefully he can step forward.
Might be the weakest ledger he's been in.
Yeah, could be. They still won't be easy to win. I can tell you that. No. Easy to win. But yeah, look, it's great to see him. It's great to see him back in there, and touch wood, he can go another few rounds or so. An incredible greyhound. Swithin's Jim was the winner of our last heat, just got the better of Drumbeg Bannerboy ahead in 29.90, with Flyers Mini back in third place. We lost Dashing Toro here, and the even money favourite Hackney Corner also went out. But Swithin's Jim, Tommy, took the last heat, just getting the better of Drumbeg Banner.
Yeah, I didn't see this heat, but I feel for Dashing Toro, because Dashing Toro is in my book. Like, he's won 4 races. He's been in top company forever and a day. He's got exceptional ability, but something went wrong early in his career, and like, you'd lament that for the rest of his career, because he was another one who might well have been elite ability. It just didn't go right.
You can see it from his trials, can't you? You can see it from his trials. Like he's 29:30 for 550. I think he's 28:04, 525 down in Cork. Like he has ridiculous ability, but
We saw it. We
yeah.
saw it in the early races. Yeah, we saw it in the early races, and he never had the massive early dash, which was obviously it's always a bit of a concern. He had shown a bit of early pace in Tralee. We saw it that time in Tralee, and then it just I think it was one bad experience that kind of just left a mark on his career and whatever it was. But like frustrating as hell for connections. He's exceptionally talented. Always has been.
Yeah, he is indeed. But it was Swithin's Jim who won the final of the 8 heats. So that will be second round will be run this Saturday night coming. And thanks to our sponsor, Callaway Pro-Am, Dennis Murphy. Wish you all the best with Callaway Pro-Am at his new career at Stud. Or else you could do a Clonbrand Treaty and bring him back. There you go. You never ever know. Right, we're off to Dundalk for the always eagerly awaited Bar One Racing Irish Sprint Cup. It's it is the highlight sprint event of the year on the calendar. But don't think you need a sprinter to win it, Tommy. You need to be strong, don't you? It's an out and out sprinter struggles to get this 400-yard trip. It's a long home straight up there at Dundalk. But Stefan's Frost got us off to winning ways for Shay Campbell. Shay always seems to pop up with a top class greyhound or two, and Stefan's Frost was very, very good. Didn't come out great, showed good pace and ran away from up the home straight in 21-24, beating Songyag Cora and Healy's Legacy back in third.
Yeah, you're right. It's a funny sprint trip. It's a great sprint trip. It's probably the best because you got two decent runs, and in terms of straights, it's a long run to the line as well, and it forced you to stay every bit of it. I like it as a sprint. I do. I prefer that now to a 300-yard, to be honest about it. But this was a cracking heat. I mean, to fly home in the way he did to get up, because Sonia Cora and Healy's Legacy had some buckle for most of the race, and because they were bumping a bit and both wanted kind of the same line, it kind of opened up the opportunity. But the fact that they were able to do 21-24 when things haven't gone exactly right, it's a good run. But I come away again thinking that maybe Sonia and Cora are just a bit too far out in 5 the other night. We know how fast he is.
Yeah, he is indeed. The second heat was won by the Barney Mooney and Martin White, owned and trained Some Cassia. We'd seen this dog run up in Shelbourne maybe 4 or 5 times. Always was well supported. Could sometimes miss the kick a little bit, but he showed undoubted pace. He really had over 4 bends, and he took a flyer there on Saturday night. He was 4 lengths too good for Boots Burgess and move over Harry back in third place. But 21-20, he has form over 4 bends, Tommy, and once he led after the couple of maybe 20 or 30 yards, they were always going to struggle to pick him up.
And I'm encouraged by the fact that he ran a perfect line. He went I'd say he went up to the line. If you could see a camera in front or behind you, you'd say he probably went as straight as a gun barrel and ran and arced on the bend perfectly from where he was. So you could kind of see, you often see dogs coming up on the outside of another greyhound, and you say, well, he's going to sweep the bend. Even though he was in front, you can see the way he was angling to the bend that he was going to sweep it himself. So he was going to cement the position that he had. He was a length and a half clear, maybe into the bend. And as you said, ran away from there. It's a nice performance.
Yeah, it was indeed. Another nice performance came from another consistent greyhound, Dear Me, who's got winning form over 2 and 4 bends. Premier Fantasy, son of Premier Fantasy by Dear O'Dear for Lawrence Jones. Very, very consistent dog, this. I think he might have maybe 16 top 3 finishes for maybe 20, 21 starts. He took a flyer from Trap 1. This was a strong heat. He got the better of Second Treasure, who would be certainly up the top 5 sprinters in the country, in my opinion, for Graham Kelly. But look, Dear Me, as I said again, he's winning form over 4 bends. Going to be hard to pick up. Hard and all, as Second Treasure did try. Cushy the Best, another dog we know from his 4-blend exploits around Shelbourne Park. He finished back in third. But Dear Me, I think that was a personal best, Tommy. 2094, huge run.
Yeah, and actually it was a really good race to watch. Particularly to the bend, and it didn't look like there was a lot of trouble, but there was enough trouble in behind that he could just cement the position. Jeremy could just kind of kick on a bit and cement position at the head of affairs. I thought the runner up ran well as well. I wouldn't be ruling anything out there. Just
yeah. He's
effort.
a really good dog. If you have, he's sorry, Tommy. He's some cracking sprint form. Second Treasure, Cushy the Best. We know Cushy the Best from Shelbourne Park. I think he might have got. Did he get to a final of an Easter Cup maybe? Or a Gold Cup, I think. I think he got to a final of a Gold Cup at the start of the year. Very, very fast dog as well. So he might improve for the run as well. I don't think he has too many sprint runs under his belt. Race number 5 was Heat 4. The return of the champ, Broadstrand Sid. It's probably safe to say things hadn't gone to plan, Tommy, since he won this last year. And it's great to see him back at the top of his form, winning in 2077. It shows you the quality of this contest when we have a real good old yardstick like Road Exile, and he was firmly putting this place back in third place. I thought the runner-up, Lenny's Tank, ran a cracker in second place. I really did. He certainly won. You could take out of the race. He showed all sorts of. It just looked like raw ability and raw pace to me. But Broad Sid, when he's good, he's very good, and he was very, very good on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, he obviously picked up an injury after this competition, maybe towards the end of this competition last year, and it's held him out. It held him up a lot in his career. This is a huge performance. The runner-up, I think I agree. My God, he ran some race. I mean, particularly that he gave away a lot of ground going wide and running off the last bend, and yet he's beaten not a lot. I mean, it's an absolutely monster performance considering the winner did 2077, and Lenny's Tank is doing lots of things wrong. He's beaten 2 lengths. It doesn't look like 2 lengths. He's beaten 2 lengths. Huge display, and like you said, if you're looking for a yardstick in sprint racing over the last couple of years, it's Road Exile, and he can do it over 525 as well. But Road Exile has been in every sprint that I can think of in the last 2 years, and run exceptionally well, more than 2 years probably. Come away with 2 things. The Broadstrand Sid is probably going to improve on that as well. Did he do a track record last year, 2050 something, whatever it was? He can do that again. But I tell you, Lenny's Tank can go close to a track record too, just that he gives away a little bit too much ground. I'd be interested to see him again now next week, because he did come in close enough to Broadstrand Sid around the bends. It's just that, did he get a little push off that encouraged him to go very wide off the last bend, or did he do it himself? I'd be interested to watch next week's race before I make my mind up on that. And if it's a case that he wants to run a more middle line, well, he's a real player in the outright for this.
Yeah, he has a bit of experience around there before. Lenny's Tank, he's won around there in 2075 a few weeks ago. He actually broke a track record in qualifying, believe it or not. Lenny's Tank 17:11, I think it was down in Tralee. He broke a track record before he even hit the track. But Broadstrand Sid, and as you say, Road Exile is a perfect yardstick, and for him to be beaten so far by those two, it just shows you how good they are. Now, I know it's not a graded stake, but the grader would be pleased if he was to turn this into a graded race in race number 6. It was Heat 5. A neck separated Ballymac Brandon on debut, I think. What a debut that was. He beat No More 50s back in second, but surprise reunion, a good dog for Des and Mary Gilbert back in third. But decent debut by this fella, Tommy, 21:13.
And possibly even better than that, because it seemed like the dog that showed the pace into the bend, the 3 dog, just seemed to did she kind of lose a leg slightly, or something happened on the bends?
The winner definitely lost 2 lengths in the run anyway. There was definitely a little bit of trouble around the opening bends.
Yeah, just whatever happened. I'm not sure the Belinda's lady maybe just stumbled slightly or something, came back on top of Ballymac Brandon a little bit, or maybe Ballymac Brandon came in a bit on top of it. It's hard to see exactly what happened, but like either way, the 3 was a bit unlucky. It ran well in the feet, but Ballymac Brandon is going to improve a bit too. I don't know what to make of it, that it's on debut in a sprint competition. Because it debuted back in March, June, 2989, I suppose, in Shelbourne Park. Was it Shelbourne or Tralee? Sorry. Just I don't know what to make of it in terms of where it'll be in the future. Will it ever be able to go to 525 yards? I mean, Liam Dowling knows exactly what he's doing with these dogs. So maybe it is just a sprinter, but by God, he's a good sprinter if he is.
Could be. Yeah. Let's just touch on this, Tommy. We spoke briefly off air before we come on. The runs in Dundalk. Personally, I think the track has gone a little bit quicker in the last few years. Like if you've seen a dog, like I think Slick won down there in Dundalk before he was short head in the Derby, beaten in the Derby, wasn't he? Before he went to the Derby, and I think he done a run like 21:30, and it was sort of unheard of. It was a mad run, you know that way. But like you see dogs like Ballymac Brandon doing 21:30, and if that was maybe 3 years ago, he's a 50,000 pounder. He really is doing 21:30 in their debut in the dog. But now it feels like a lot of dogs are doing those sort of runs, 21:10s, 21:20s. Personally, I think the track has gone a little bit quicker. Now, I know Broadstrand said at 20:57 last year, and he's 20:77 this week or last week. But just for me, I think the sprint trip has just gone a little bit quicker down there in Dundalk recently. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, It definitely has. I mean, it's not like Broadstrand still is exceptionally fast dog, right? Obviously, but like we've had exceptionally fast dogs in this competition over the years, and they haven't done 2050. What was it, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, like there have been exceptionally fast dogs in the competition, other than him as well, and they haven't done that time. Like look at Tralee in the last few weeks where they were breaking track records for fun. Like from my own experience in Yall there, after a while back now, because I don't get time at work related to get to Yall anymore, but it got really fast all of a sudden down to different maintenance, but also different sand and things like that. I mean, if you're buying a dog, you really you can't buy it on one clock. You've got to understand. It's a bit like if you're a punter, you've got to understand the tracks and what they are doing, what the tracks are doing, and how they are running in general terms. So I think it's much more nuanced than just saying, he did a big time or whatever. You're right, like 21:13 one time would have been monstrous. I had a dog one time many moons ago. I think I might have said it before, many moons ago, who broke the track record in Dundalk for the sprint prior to making his debut. And when he got to racing time, then he got really het up going racing, and just things changed from he could hardly warm himself when he got to the track then to actually race. But he broke track
Yeah,
records.
yeah.
But no, it was the and I can't was it slightly longer, slightly shorter trip, whatever it was. But it was in Dundalk.
I think it
Probably
was
the best.
410, wasn't it? 410 at one
Yeah,
stage it
four
was.
ten. It was 4:10 at the time, and he was breaking. He might have been breaking 22 seconds or something, whatever it was. Anyway, at the time he was doing track records anyway in things. So it's you need to understand the track, how it's going. Um, we talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot with Ian on this. Even with Shelbourne Park, the sectionals. Sometimes I have to, because I'm not in Shelbourne Park every weekend. I think to really understand them, you need to see the graders and know the graders of a track and see and know how they're running. And all of a sudden, to going quicker, are there sectionals quicker, which might look like much or whatever. Sometimes I just look and go, look, I'm not worried about whether it's 2:20 or, well, if it's 2:10 or 2 seconds can be the same thing sometimes. 2:10 can be a really fast time depending on the track, and then other times you're going, geez, he needs to improve on 2:10 if he's going to compete, just depending on how the track is run at the time. It can fluctuate depending on obviously weather and water and there's lots of different reasons, how often it's dug up, when it's dug up. There's so many reasons, what type of sand is on the track. So I mean, if you're buying a dog, you can't just say somebody said, oh, he did a really good time the other day. Get somebody who knows the track inside out, who's there week in, week out, and knows and understands what the track is like, because you're 100% right. Now, maybe Ballymake Brandon is a 50 grand dog. I mean, it's a hell of an effort first time up 21:13 in anyone's language.
Yeah, it certainly is. And he can only impress. He probably lost a length or two in the run. On to heat number 6, which was race 7 on the card. To me, this was visually the most impressive on the eye. It was Droopy's Patriot. You were speaking about Tralee. I think he was the Juvenile Classic winner early on in his career. He put in some huge runs around Shelbourne Park, 18:36 and 18:38 in a couple of trials. This to the eye, Tommy, to me was probably the most impressive of all the winners.
Yeah, because the acceleration into the bend, and it's funny if you watch the race, you think he's going to lead by a length into the bend, then he goes 2 lengths there. Now, in fairness to Highview Ben, ran a hell of a race, closing them into a length again around the two bends, and if you swap the boxes, maybe Highview Ben can get a length closer or whatever, but not a lot to dislike in 2088 from Droopy's Patriot. Huge effort. Geez, Robert Leeson has some kennel grounds at the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. He's absolutely flying. Myself and yourself are trying to catch up with the beard stakes and Rob. We've a bit to go, don't we?
No,
He has
no, he's in the open class, and I'm back in A5 or A6 or
A7.
something.
Yeah, I'm about A7, and after this, I will be back to A10. Right, anyway, enough about that. On to heat number 7, Stone Park Brown, a greyhound who has always been featured on this programme because of his raw ability. We've seen him first turn up in the Kirby, was it, of last year, and he's really established himself now as a top sprinter. Again, not the quickest away there on Saturday night, Tommy, but showed scintillating early pace to lead and wins comfortably in 2094.
This might be the most impressive for me. This pacing into the bend is absolutely ridiculous. It really is. I mean, he misses it properly. I mean, if you're going to miss it, miss it. You know, if you, and show off a little bit. But he's coming here on the back of winning the Treaty Cup in Limerick.
Yeah.
Like his 4 runs in Limerick prior to this, he was beaten into 4th place. Then he won. Then he was second. Then he won. That's him because of the fact that the propensity to miss the kick it, now and then. By God, that pace into the bend. To me, that was the most impressive. And actually, do you know what? Ideally, this should be his track because you've got that good run into the bend. This is his track.
Yeah.
Then. This is his track to do something sensational. And if he happens to break level, I mean, what will he do?
Yeah, it's going to be a scary thought when he does hit the lid some night. And look, it's all about qualifying because you get a dog like him to a final. He can do anything on a final. Ballymac Kamala ran well in second, and Ballymac Setanta back in third. On to heat number 8. Martin Lanny, Woodcliff Duke. It wouldn't be a bar one Spring Cup without Martin Lanny firing in a winner. He's won it before. I think he won it before with, was it Johnny Gatillo? I think he was second twice with Forrest Natalie and another razzle dazzle dog I can't think of the name of. I'm sure he'll text me later on. But Woodcliff Duke for Martin, very nice performance. 21.02, good winner over Danica's Diamond. Hopes Teddy, the Easter Cup champion, seemed to have every chance. Now he didn't break great, but I'm sure he'll improve for the run. We lost Glengar Marta in this one. But Woodcliff Duke for Martin. He's a regular down there, and he always seems to pop up with a good one at this time of year for this competition, Tommy.
Yeah, hard to make sprinters of 4 bend dogs. It really is. Dengar Martin, in fairness, her. I mean, she could turn up anywhere. She could turn up in the Oaks in the Curragh ranking. That she seems to run the whole time. She's a class animal to follow. She really is. She's just brilliant. But Woodcliff Duke is really professional performances. Guys, I haven't met Martin Nanny for many years. You're bringing me back a bit. Not that he's old, but he's very old. I used to meet him a lot in the old House Cross and Shelbourne Park in younger days. He's a good character, and always, as you said, always had one for here, and always had a good sprinter. Best part of the performance, apart from the fact that he obviously led all the way, was that Danica Diamond made a genuine challenge, and Woodcliff Duke picked up again, in the straight to win by a length and a half. But my God, that straight goes on forever. Hope Teddy broke well enough. I hope he's going to have to improve a bit to compete to win this. I don't see it personally, but raw ability, out and out sprinter, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you've got to give him one more chance. We'll see. Be interesting to see how he goes because we've shown electric early pace in the 550-yard trip in Shelbourne. I know it's completely different, but he could step forward from that for Pat Buckley. Pat did have the winner of the last with Southwind. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Barry, but he's the type of one you're going to come up with something outlandish for the Derby, aren't you? You've got something in your mind, have you?
I have one at the moment, but I'm trying to keep him under my hat just yet. I want to see him have one more run.
I knew it. I knew you had.
So I'll keep that under my hat for now. Pat Buckley did win the last with Southwind, while he beat Epic Ace, who was very, very impressive in defeat. And another one for Martin Valderrama, qualified back in third. Southwind, while 21.13, Tommy, but I think the big talking point in this race was the pace of Epic Ace. Again, he does miss that kick, which is not ideal for a sprinter. But as regards raw ability, he is all sorts of pace, isn't he?
All sorts of pace. The winner didn't exactly fly out either. And Epic Ace got plenty of trouble in crowding and actually did well to run to finish as close as he did. But the winner didn't fly out. The winner can come away a bit better. The funny thing was, I'd say again, you're without the aid of a camera that's straight down the line. That I'd say 6 and 4, the gap closed between them, and Epic Ace couldn't get any bit of a run at all in the first couple of yards and showed remarkable pace into the first bend. I mean. What happened to him earlier, whether he stumbled or got crowded by the 2 dogs, I don't know. But I mean, how he recovered, he should have been last into the bend. And instead he's challenging and getting squeezed by 4 and 6 again, maybe for the second time, maybe for the first time. But he's definitely getting squeezed again the first bend. Ran a huge race. I mean, the winner capable of even better, but the runner up is all sorts of pace, all sorts of ability. Do you know what? This is the Spring Cup has always been a good competition, but by God, the last few years it's been exceptional. It has been out of this world, and this is a good renewal. This is a really good renewal.
Yeah, you could take six, the likes of the Epic Aces and your Broadstrand Sids and your Lenny's Tanks and your Stone Park Browns and your Southwind Wilds, and you could make an absolute incredible final. You really could. But the action will continue in Dundalk this Saturday night again. Many thanks to our sponsors, Bar One Racing. That's just about it for this evening. Tommy, have you anything else to add?
Oh, I would say the real beauty of this Spring Cup now is that you can actually think about these dogs as potentially running a derby, even though there was a time when if you saw a dog running over two bends, you go, well, forget about him for any derbies. But the derby's about early pace and getting around in front, and there's a huge advantage to it. To me, the derby is a 550 in name only. It's a 525 really. That's what it's become because the dogs have that massive early pace and tend to stay there. It takes a lot to get by them. When they're doing fast clocks. So you can look at this competition and go, this can be a derby dog. It can be. Now, I know we'll argue towards the end of it, and we'll probably talk about, comes to the final, can any of these develop and say, oh, well, he doesn't quite get home or whatever. But this is a really, really good test. It's that long straight home. Tells you a lot about how far a dog can get. I remember that I talked about this a few times. I mentioned a few times because I was still impressed with it, even though it didn't come off. But you were fancying Carrigaldo, hence the kind of what I said to you a minute ago about the Derby. You were fancying Carrigaldo for the Derby, and I was one of his biggest fans over his career. Terrific dog. Didn't fancy him for the Derby, but by God, he ran a hell of a competition. Was he semi-finalist? I think he was, and probably unlucky not to be. Yeah, you're on each way 100 to 1 or something.
Yeah.
It's not a. I think in a snobbish way, we all in the past looked at it and went, look at it, it's the Spring Cup, so it has no relevance to the Derby. Forget about it. It's grand to half enjoy it, but no, this has turned into an absolutely brilliant competition. And I honestly, I'm only saying it because I'm getting so much enjoyment out of watching it the last few years. And look at. Maybe Broadstrand Sid will win it again, but like you mentioned, you rattled off 5 or 6 names there straight away, and like every one of them could be a winner and could be potentially develop into a derby dog, or at least win heats of a derby or whatever. So it's absolutely top class. It really is.
Yeah, I don't think it was called the Bar One Spring Cup at the time, but there was a competition down in Dundalk that Slip the Lark ran in. It was a big enough competition. It might have been worth £5,000 or £6,000, and I think he might have won that. And then he was sort of the first one that went to Shelbourne Park, and he got to a derby final and was beat a short head by Shelbourne Aston, or the late Pat Curtin. But then even in recent years, I'm not entirely sure, but I think Grangeview 10 might have ran in it and got deep into a derby. Goldie had ran in it, won it, got deep into a derby. I think he won a Laurels. He turned into a good 4-bend dog. And then last year we had Carrigaldo. So something will come from this competition. Like when they're out in front going that sort of pace, it's only another 150 yards to keep going, So we will see. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, it's they're doing such times as well. Like 2077 is the best of the first round, and there will be better in the coming weeks, and it'll live up to last year's. It's probably even deeper than last year's already.
Yeah, it certainly is. Anyway, that's it. Again, the action continues in Dundalk on Saturday night. Also in Limerick on Saturday night for the second round of the Callaway Prom at Stud St. Ledger, and Shelbourne Park on Friday night for the second round of the Time Greyhound Nutritional Juvenile Derby. Again, another busy weekend. We also have the Select Sales at Shelbourne Park this Saturday. The first trial commences at 9:30. So if you're in the market to try and buy something special, we suggest you turn up at Shelbourne Park this Saturday morning. There will be more details online during the week. I'm sure the catalogue will be out in the next 48 hours or so. I'll be there so you can pick up a bargain or two. We'll do our very, very best. And we'd also like to listen into Barry Drake's podcast on Thursday, and well done to Liam Cahill and Tipperary winning the All-Ireland. And on a sad note, we must say rest in peace to Marcella Campbell. I'm not going to pretend I knew Marcella too well. I met her 1 or 2 times, but she was always a pleasant lady, and everybody I spoke to over the weekend only had good things to say about Marcella. So from all of us here at Talking Dogs, we wish Marcella and all her family and friends rest in peace. That's it from us. We'll speak to you again next Monday night. All the best.
This podcast was brought to you by Greyhound Racing Ireland.